Okay. Namaste. This session is in a way very interesting because it's everybody thinks that we know enough about Ramayana. We have been playing it, seeing as Ram Leela and learning from the childhood. And year after year, we are enacting the drama. And every day we read it also. But till 3 days back, I was just wondering that I did not know much about it, except from the point of view of Astha, faith, and of course his historicity here and there. But other than that, some of the details which have emerged in the last 15 years, it is amazing. It's really mind-boggling that so many disciplines are involved in writing and composing history now. It's not just a question of, um, you see, what is literature and what is linguistic guesswork. None of those. That is mostly guesswork and matter of interpretation. And that interpretation also of Sanskrit or Hindi depends on the person who is reading it, from what perspective he is coming from. So now we are learning from purely scientific point of view. And let's see, importance of this lesson. For me, it is extremely personal for the reason that in globally, which means all over the schools, when the world history is being taught, Sita's plight is always there. Sita under different names, sometimes poetry, sometimes otherwise. So it comes like, um, Sita's blues, wars of Sitas, and everything, Sita's exile, and things like that. That is the focus. And then the status of women, suddenly it weaves into status of women in India. And there are a lot of distortion. So basically, for me, it was essential to take a multidisciplinary approach and take it out of the realm of mythology, um, and create it as a historical culture documents. That is how other countries are treating it, and Hindus in India are not that convinced. Um, so converging technologies from various disciplines. So I took a planetarium software. This was created, you know, I think NASA created it about 25 years back. And that is being used for dating, especially where there are astronomical references, position of the constellations uh, and moon and sun in relation to other planets. So that software is available now. Satellite-based remote sensing techniques. This is extremely important because now they are able to go deep down and find out what was the maximum depth of the oceans so many centuries or millennia back. What is it now? How much water has risen, and how much of the shoreline of India has been covered by water. So, for archaeological references, verifying that some of those places which are mentioned, and they are no longer visible now. So this is important. Underwater exploration. In that particular area around India, what kind of biodiversity is there, and what kind of rugged mountains are there, navigational purposes, where the channels were there. So a lot of information has come up, and radiocarbon dating. And that method is used to figure out the date of the architecture artifacts. So human genome studies, genetic mapping of the population, combining with the development of cultures of different tribes and synthesis of that, and anthropology. So some practices which are considered like, primitive, they are not really primitive. They are according to those climatic conditions, they were relevant. And especially when the smaller density of population is very low, people are scattered, they have plenty of land to feed themselves. So anthropology, habits, customs, culture coming out of that, it depends on all of these climatic studies. Now we have paleobotanical, rice. Actually, somebody was telling me that corn was taken from South America. Corn is not native to India. And similarly, potatoes are not native to India. Okay, I mean, whole lot of things are assigned here and there. But then I looked at the dictionary, and one of the earliest that paleobotanical fossils are available. They are of rice and makkah. So in Sanskrit, two words are used for corn. One is makkah, and the second is jowar. So I don't understand how we accept and how others see us and define us and give us credit for instead of challenging them. So this is an effort to challenge and correct our own perception. So then paleoclimatic studies, formation of the mountains and limestones. So geographic and geological research tools. So matching all of the above with literature and linguistics, we come up with a certain time frame and the authenticity of the events. For example, if Valmiki has written that this thing happened, and at that time this is what the sky chart was, and that sky chart with the help of planetarium software comes out correct, then that means this pans out. This is corroborated by the astronomical techniques. So age of the epics now. So epics are very long stories in poetry. That is why they survive Shruti, because no matter how many years passed away, poetic narration, it is in meters and music. So it remains its original form. So these narratives usually run into thousands of pages. Mahabharata is considered to be the longest epic ever written, some 21,000 pages. So the period after the Vedic age is known as the age of epics, which means just after the Das-Rajanya war, dispersal of the people and the how the uh, uh, people were defeated. Some of them scattered elsewhere, went there. So after that period, this is the time of epics. And the difference between Ramayana happened at the end of Treta, and Mahabharata happened at the end of Dwapar. And the period is 7,000 BCE to 3,000 BCE. And that is also at the time when Saraswati civilization and its tributaries, they were at the peak flow. It was the mightiest river. So when I show the map, we will see where Saraswati is. Now, mythology, legends, and history. Ramayana narrates historical facts. The epic itself gives astrological. See, it explains how the bridge was made and the techniques were used, and the material was used, and why that particular portion was used for making the bridge between Lanka and. So archaeological references are in Valmiki's Ramayana, and of course astronomical is there, and geographical. Where was Ayodhya? Ayodhya is where Ayodhya is now. So our the area from where it came and how they moved down during their Vangaman and during their exile. So, whereas Greek epics, Odyssey and Iliad, we don't have any archaeological or kind of, solid scientific proof, except that the books were written and they are also poetry. But whether they were written after the thing events happened or they were written contemporary witnesses or literary people. So proving the historicity of epics and assigning approximate dates removes the tag of mythology. So now we are able to rescue from the purely label that this is Hindu mythology. Hmm? And funny part is, for the last 25 years, every time there is a drama or a dance or music, some people will, from the stage, from the podium, will say, this is based on Hindu mythology. And for the last 25 years, I have not been able to correct that word. They are, no, this is just a story. You see, why are we talking about it then? Why are you playing it on the, you see, if it is mythology? And where does it say that it is mythical? So, so this is one of my purposes of doing this lesson, that those people who are mm, absolutely stubborn to new ideas, somehow or other, we pump it into their brain, repeating it and repeating it, that this is not mythology. This is what happened. Somebody saw it. So itihas literally means that something happened, somebody saw it, and somebody later on, to the best of his capacity, wrote it. Or while it was happening, wrote it. So understanding it, that he traveled, Ram traveled from all the way from north to south, it should be integrator of the nation. And in a way, in a rudimentary form, it is a uniting factor. The whole nation, in some or other way, is connected with it and narrates it. So, if we really make the chart geographical and make it available as a tourist spot, then it will be further strengthen the nation, which is otherwise splintered by false propaganda or by regional identity or by language. So it will also validate database of civilization heritage. That means we do have a database to lean on, and that is verifiable. So that is the point of authenticity. So Balmiki was a contemporary of Ram. While narrating the events of the epic, he mentions position of the planets in the sky. So now, as I said, it is possible to verify. He describes entire sequence of the planetary positions, various days. This day, this was the planetary position, and that is when Sugri met Shri Ram. And then, when was the Putra Kameshri Yagya happened? This was the planetary situation. 12 months later, when Ram was born, this was it. When Lakshman was born, this was. So the whole thing is explained with astronomical position. And so this information is extremely important. Mahabharata also mentioned a lot of about 142 configurations which are based on astronomy. So this information is significant since these configurations do not repeat. The sky does not repeat itself, and it doesn't lie either. And it has no propaganda machinery either. So for lakhs of years that cannot be manipulated or imagined so accurately without the help of sophisticated software. The inference that one can draw is that someone was present there to witness the actual happenings and which got recorded. So now let's see what is Valmiki's Ramayana Balkan. These two verses, they say he was born on, which we all know, Chaitra Shukla Paksh, 9th day, at 12:26 p.m. Exactly 12:26, not 25, not 30. His Lagan, according to the map, uh, is Kark Lagan, Cancer. January, now correspondingly, this is now, here is um, uh, given in cyclical ways in ancient India for a very long time. So how do we put it in the Gregorian calendar? And this is what came out. 10th January 5114 BCE. Now we add 2025 years have passed after that. So we come approximately 7,139 or like that. So this is approximately not 7,000 that I said that epic age is between 7,000 and 3,000. So position of the planets. Sun is in Aries, on Meshlagan, Moon and Jupiter in Kirk, Mangal in Makar, Saturn in Libra, and Venus in Pisces. And here is the book where this is, I think you can see it, that this is the chart that is made. And I tried to, it took me almost 3 days to figure it out and try to learn, how things were moving in that round elliptical way. Now, storyline is simple. Everybody knows what are the major. He was born Sumitra. She comes from the island of Sumitra, which is still there. Okay, Sumatra. And then Kakai, that land is still there. At the time of Alexander, it was there. From that ancient times up to Alexander. So Kakaya is there. So three queens were there, and he was not able to have children. And then there was the Yajna, and I'm sure it is some type of artificial insemination type of thing that all the three queens conceived. And how do we come to that conclusion? Because there is a word in Sanskrit which is also used by Samhita, Sushruta in Ayurvedic text, that is niyog. So when I looked at niyog in Sanskrit dictionary, it came out to be something similar, and that the fertilization is either in a surrogate way, or it is conceived and placed in. So, in any way, very advanced. If they can prepare that kind of sky chart without some kind of telescope or observatory, I don't know how advanced was the civilization. So the major events, they went for studies under Vishesh and lived with all type of people. There are total equality between princes and the other um, Bhils and Gaunts and various other people. And Arundhati also taught them music and fine arts, and they learned also. By the time they came back, about 25 years old, and then he got married, and the whole story. Everybody knows the story. And Kakai wanted to make her own son the king, and she asked for sending Ramchandraji for to forest, and his wife accompanied, and Lakshmana. And then the whole story goes that they went from this place to this place and various events. And then finally at Panchavati, Sita was abducted, and then he was looking for her, and the story goes on. In between at Chitrakoot, which is still there in UP, close to Prayag, that is where Bharat came to request them to come back. And of course he did. And that is how the story, after 14 years, defeated Ravan, came back, and they had celebration, which we celebrate as Diwali now. And then 2 days later, there was the Rajya Abhishek, coronation of the king, and that we celebrate as Tikka, that our brothers are warriors and they can protect us, just as the king was considered as a warrior. So this is a storyline, and I didn't write it down because everybody knows. Outline of facts based on evidence now. So founded by Ikshvaku solar dynasty, that is what the genealogy says. From Ikshvaku to Dalip to Raghu to Dashrath to Ram. So solar dynasty, and its kings ruled Awadh. Dashrath and Ram belong to this. Ram's birth, student life, and his journey. Warners as monkey is a distortion. These were people living on the outskirts of cities. It is also mentioned in the Arthashastra that people living in, and Megasthenes also mentioned this, that there were people who lived in the outskirts of cities and they were forest dwellers. So warners. The word literally means forest dweller. Now this is this I came recently across. Nagchandra Jain, he wrote Jain Ramayana. He records a tradition that the ancient inhabitants of Kishkinda were not monkeys, but a tribe whose banner carried the insignia of monkey. So similarly, that means Sampati and Jatayu, they were a tribe, and their banner was a deed. And then the same way, Jambant and Neel, they belong to the tribe. The insignia was a bear. So there still is an island called Lanka. There's ample archaeological evidence, both in Sri Lanka, in the preserved caves of Ellora. Ellora literally gives the previous history of Ravan, how he achieved the boon that nobody can destroy him. And he got Amrit in his navel button. So that is a significant memory created long after the happenings of Ramayana. Now to the west of Kanyakumari, the tip of the Indian peninsula, there is a temple of Rameshwaram where Rama built Shivlinga and offered prayer and started building the bridge. So remains of the city mentioned in Ramayana are still present. It is believed that Lahore was founded by love. At least Lahorians believed in that. And son of King Ram. And Kasur was by son Kush. Takshila was Bharat's son Takshay. And these places are still there. So several tribes described in Ramayana still are there, and they have animal emblems. So bees, asur, gods, nagas. So almost all the regions of India, Sri Lanka, many other countries in Asia have folklore and local traditions related to Rama's story. Especially in Indonesia, they enact the drama. Bali, they enact the drama, and the temple structures are there. Outside of the walls, they depict carved um, wars of that time. So the journey of one Gama. Now, so now the details, because those 14 years are very important. Ayodhya to Prayag, he crossed 4 rivers. He started with Saryu, and then Tamasa, and then there was another river, Nimeshika something, and then he reached Prayag. From Sangam, at that time, it is mentioned that Saraswati was there. That we're talking about 7,000 years back. Saraswati is a mighty river. From there to Chitrakoot. Then they came to Dandak, where Ravan's brother was ruling, and the Shubnaka incident happened. I mean, it happened in near Nasik, Panchavati, but those people were living there. Shubnaka was Ravan's sister, living with these brothers. From Panchavati, they went to Kishkinda. Then from Kishkinda, where they met Sugriv and Hanuman and all of them, Rameshwaram was an island at that time. So, but the distance between India's shore and that island was very small. So they built a bridge to Sri Lanka from Dhanushkoti on Rameshwaram Island. It is at the tip to Telangana in Sri Lanka. Now, rising water level submerged the shoreline. So now we have part of the bridge underwater. The land that was part of the land from Sri Lanka, part of the land from India, it is underwater. So the bridge looks smaller than originally because the land was continued on both sides of the main bridge. So I'm going to show you the map, and can we do the bigger one? No. Okay. Okay, now go back. Okay. Okay. So this is how do we make it zoom? I was able to do it. Okay. Now this is going to be difficult. All right, let's go with this. So this is Kaushal. And this is where Rama was born. Now these are the rivers, Sarju. And this is Tamsa. And this is Nimisha. Now these places he crossed, and then he reached Chitrakoot. And there he crossed Narmada and came down the Vindhyachal mountains. And then this is Anchodi. And this is where Ravan's brothers were there. And there is a city called Supernaka. Probably it is named after Shubdaka, one wonders. So then this is the Dandak forest, and Ram travels. And he crosses this other rivers, Krishna and Kaveri. And here there is a river which is very much mentioned because they lived there in Panchvati for a long time. That was Pampa River. And now here is what is happening. This is the bridge. I was wondering that Kanyakumari is down below. Why didn't they make a bridge at that particular point? Now, then I found out that the distance is too much and no islands. So here there is Rameshwaram island, and then there is another island here. And so here it was easier to build. See? So this is the place. And modern days, these are the names. Okay. Women in Ramayana. This is contentious issue because they say there was sati and child marriage and cruelty to women and whole lot of stuff. So interesting part is that many of them were queens, but many of them famous at that time, they were philosophers who could talk about very difficult subjects of the reality of the universe. So Sita Arundhati, Vashishya's wife Shabri, who offered them values. Sulochana was Meghnad's wife. Mandodari was Ravan's wife. So besides these three queens, beside the Kekai, Sumitra, and Kaushalya. So female philosophers, participation of Gargi and Surya and Matri, taking place in public discourses. So Raja Janak, he entertained one of the longest debates, and that was won by Gargi. It was between Yajnavalkya and Gargi. So Sati tradition. In the entire warfare, Dasharath died. The queens did not commit sati. And then so many people died during the war with Ravan. Only one person died, and that was Sulochana. She performed sati because she said that my life is meaningless without my husband, and she committed. Sita's woes, Sita's blues, Sita's exile, it never happened. Why? I'm saying that, first of all, there is no archaeological proof where Sita lived after exile. And the second is there's not any river connected with that except Tamsa that she crossed. But then in between there is Sari. So it does not make sense. And the third thing is Valmiki Ramayana ends when he comes back and he is coronated as king. And Tulsidas Ramayana also. And then Markandeya Rishi, he explains in Mahabharata to Pandus that the story of Ram. And he ends right there, celebration and coronation. So we can understand that we have a lot of line of literary evidence and it is not mentioned. Okay. So, and yet Sita's blues and exile is the main theme when international books, textbooks are taught in 9th, 10th grade. They mention this all over the world. On the one hand, they say that it is mythology, it never happened. If it is, the whole thing is mythology, then why bother? Whether Sita was exiled or not, it's immaterial. But since it is history and it is not mentioned right up to the 2nd century BCE, for almost 6,000 years, there's no evidence, literary, linguistic, or anything. So, Ram Setu is an architectural marvel. And why we are focusing on that? Because several attempts have been made by Congress governments till 2014 to demolish the bridge. For the West, this was a discovery when digital mapping and pictures showed that there was actually a bridge, and they named it Adams Bridge. And they said that it's really a marvelous thing. And then suddenly they decided that the bridge is a natural formation. And they named it Rama's Adams Bridge. And they mentioned chain of shoals and other things, stones. And they all, it, and they mentioned that it is 170 million years old. Now, 170 million years old is not human history. Human skulls have been found only about 200,000 years back. So 170 million years old. And that is why they said that, yes, it is not man made, it is a natural formation. Now, how do we make out this business of 170 million years old and break down that myth? You see, supposing that my house is built 25 years back, some of the stones underneath, they date back to say 100 years old, 200 years old, or more than that. You are just trying to determine the Paleolithic structure. What is the substratum of that stone? So if it is 100 years old or 200 years old, my house is not 200 years old. So the material they use from under the water or the coral reefs or the shoals which float. Shoals look like, when we were children, we used to use a pumice stone. It has holes. So it is something similar. So it has a curvature. You see, even today, the long bridges are made with the curvature so that straight line it can give way in the middle. So it has a curvature. So coastal sand, limestone builder. Later on, and there was a dramatist, Bhavabhuti, he wrote a play, Mahavir Charit, and he mentioned in that the actual construction of the bridge in two places. This he did in play, theater. How do you show making the bridge on the ocean in a play? And so he used a different way. And one place, Mandodri says to Ravan that they have made a bridge and they are right on top of you and you are going to lose. So stop this warfare and return Sita. And she explains to Ravan how they are making the bridge. And also, when they are going back to Ayodhya, and Sita says to Lakshman, how did they make the bridge? How do you all made the bridge? And he explains. So what I mean is that this tradition of explaining through drama, dances, acting is a very ancient tradition. And when something is repeated year after year after year, there is a certain kind of continuity, historical continuity that you can trace. This is what NASA found. So it is a very dim image, and they called it Adam's Bridge. And this is the bridge. And this is Rameshwar Island. And this is land. It was land at that time. And now it was land at that time. This is Limena. This was land at that time. So if this is the land and this is the land, right, connected, and then this is the Dhanushkodi, from here you made the bridge and it walked here. So this image conveys a better idea that what really was happening. And in the meantime, when this picture appeared, the sea level here, ocean level, has risen by 9 feet approximately. So now this is a very interesting idea. Since it is considered as a UNESCO, from UNESCO World Heritage Site, and nobody can destroy it or touch it or tinker with it. But government of India at that time thought that let us demolish the Setu and then open the waterway and the ships can go there. So, and in that process, demolition and the clearing everything in the way, a lot of people make money. Whether the bridge is actually made or halfway destroyed, or not destroyed, at every level corruption, and it was a very paying kind of idea. So the government gave the reason that it will shorten the distance for the ships to go through the from the bridge if it is demolished. Then around Sri Lanka, how much is the difference? They found out 10 hours. The naval commanders and their research showed it's only 10 hours difference. So what's the big deal? So then around Sri Lanka or through the strait. Then other scientists objected from environmental standpoint. And that standpoint was that there is so much of biodiversity and that will be destroyed. And the entire industry of fishing will be destroyed. And it is environmentally wrong. And the oceanographers also said the same thing. And then the geologists came and they also said that it is impossible to destroy because the substrata of the ridges, which is linked as a bridge, that is several billion years old. And this cannot be broken. These are mountain ridges jutting up, and that is where the bridge is over there, linking them. So they made a petition to the court. One of the gentlemen who wrote the book, Ram Setu, he happens to be a friend. I meet him in many conferences. He was representing the people. And the arguments, some of them were very interesting. So the state prosecutor said that was Rama an engineer, that he made it? Where did he study engineering? And Subramanian Swami said that this is he studied engineering from the same college where Karunanidhi studied medicine, because there is a hospital named as Karunanidhi Hospital. So this was some interesting. And the pitfalls. The first time they did with the cranes, the crane broke down. Often with the crane and with the dynamite, you try to destroy something and then you lift it up. So it could not be done. Then some geologists went to figure out why the crane fell down and how to now bring the crane up. I mean, now they have created a problem, another problem. What's there of the problem? No problem. And now there are two problems. The crane is in the bottom, and the broken, some pieces are also there. And in the process, probably some biodiversity was destroyed. So then in the team of 8 people went there to figure out how to take the crane out now to proceed further. And that they met an accident and they died. Finally, the project was postponed. And these 3 incidents, that dynamite failed to destroy, that crane broke down, that And those who went for investigation, they died on the way. So when these points were made by Subramanian Swami, and the judge said, "Are you threatening me that if I give a verdict against against you, I'll be destroyed?" So there were quite a hilarious kind of debate going on. So the bridge was demolition was postponed. It was finally abandoned. It was an impossibility physically, geographically, and geologically, but it was also economically. By the time these things happened, prices had gone up, so it was not economically viable. And luckily, then the government changed. So, a living tradition of Pan Asia. Ramayana is a cultural document, yes. It is dramatized in several other countries, yes. It's an ageless epic because for the first time, Ramayana gives the social norms of behavior and also limits of individual behavior, what you can do and what you should do. You should do this, you should do that. It is all of the norms. Some of the important kings and queens belong to neighboring islands. So obviously, Ramayana. Malaysia, Malay was ruled by Mandodri's father. So obviously, Ramayana is celebrated there. Bali, Bali was controlling that area. Sumatra, Indonesia, all of these places they celebrate, and there are a lot of pictures. If you uh, high quality pictures of temples and other places um, in that Pan-Asian area. So it's a cultural document and a historic document for all of uh, these countries. And the government is now trying to do along the route of the one government, restore the temples, make the temples tourist centers. So it becomes a living kind of pathway joining north to south. That's it. Yeah. So it's a living tradition of Danish. So it's not just a historical document. Having said that, I I personally do not think that Sita's exile happened because to me there is zero evidence of any type. But again, if people want to believe that, that is a matter of their own perspective. As a historian, when you are recording the facts, none of the different sources I have taken, they prove that it happened. And besides, who would believe that a king would not even be curious to find out whether he had a son or a daughter or two or three? So it is unbelievable. And now I want to show this book. All right. And for curiosity sake, please read this book. It's very dense, very research oriented. These are research papers of um scholars from different disciplines, and these are the proceedings of that. There is a institute. It is called Institute of Scientific Research in Vedic Studies. Short is ISER.
Kamlesh ji, can you again show that particular book of yours, please?
Again, Atman.
Yeah.
Institute of Scientific Research of Vedas. And the conference took place in 2011. I didn't attend that, but the next conference in 2012, I think, I attended that. And I met all those um, reputed uh, scholars from genetics and from paleobotany, Birbal Institute in Lucknow, I mean, top-notch scholars. I may not have I do not have that depth of that they have, mathematical skills and computer skills and mapping things, how to do that. But then at least I have the capacity to read this dense book. And if you want, you can, you know, um, buy it. It is, and there is another book, which is historicity of Mahabharata, that came after this. So I have both of them, and they are available in Hindi. This, by the way, has Hindi as well as English. So those people who presented papers in Hindi, they are given in Hindi, and you can see the beauty of and the maps inside. They are unbelievable. Um,
Kamlesh, you can
but
take
Pushkar
point the book to
Bhatnagar,
the other side.
this
You
is
could,
the
yeah.
map of chart of Ram's birth. Do you see that? This is um, made by um, Bhatnagar. I think his name is Ashok Bhatnagar, and this is you can see that.
No, it's not visible. It's not visible.
Can you see it now? It's very small letters. But if you see it on the computer, it will show you where the circles are made, and then this Tato Yajna Samapte, that verse is there, 8 and 9, and then the interpretation of this chart is there. That is where I got that. And then there is in the subsequent pages where when Lakshman was born, and then there is when the Shatrughan was born just 3 minutes later, and Bharat was born. So all of these are charts. Uh, so I didn't include any of those. I didn't know how to copy it from here, and then I did not have the permission also. I know the director of this person. She is Saroj Bala. Um, she was in Indian Revenue Service, and after retirement, she started a government-funded research center. So um, I can get the permission to, if I want to use these maps, um, then what for? Because you already have seen the book, and please do get it in the library. It is not a Hindu book or government funded secular book. So these are different kind of research papers. So even the researchers in America and other places, they will be interested in keeping it. So I think that's all there is to it. And
Dr. Sita Terry has asked the name of the book. Can you repeat the name of the book?
आपने क्या कहा?
डॉक्टर सीता टेरी ने पुस्तक का नाम पूछा हुआ है, तो आप बता सकते हैं वापस, तो मैं इधर लिख के
हाँ हाँ,
भेजूंगा।
नाम है नाम है मैं टेक्स्ट भी कर दूंगी. हिस्टोरिसिटी ऑफ वैदिक historicity of Vedic and Ramayan eras. Share window is closed. क्या हो गया? Are you able to
Share.
see it?
Yeah. No, we are not able to see the book. But I mentioned the name. Yeah. Somebody's already shared the link. Yeah.
दिख रहा है? Can you see that?
Yeah, we have mentioned it. Mr.
And it is written, underneath it is written, scientific evidences from the depth of ocean to the heights of skies. And look at that title page. It's beautifully done. Depth of ocean and the height of sky. So, marvelous book. I mean, all of you people are computer savvy and in that field, you will enjoy it more. Any question? Any other question?
Hey, can you hear me? Yanti
Yes.
okay, so two questions. Well, in the past, how did everyone do all of these astrological calculations without technology or um, fancy software?
I don't know. I have a feeling that if you can make that kind of chart, you must be having a very advanced civilization.
Mm,
And since a lot of climatic changes have happened and a lot of invasions happened, you see, even in 3 minutes, one third of Japan was destroyed by atomic bomb. And they say Mahabharata times that was destroyed half of India population wise. So you can understand how many things could have happened in
mm,
any kind of field, ecological or like glaciers are melting now. Okay?
yeah,
So they that is why this is the most wonderful epic which has not only which pales out on the basis of every discipline. You name it. I mean, uh, I never knew how to that there is something called hydrology,
mm,
mapping the underneath channels. I learned it just in 3 days by going through it. I mean, sometimes what I wrote 15 years back, a lot of things have happened, and books like these, they're eye openers.
mm, mm,
There must be some kind of observatories, some kind of telescope. If they knew the formula of pi and could make the same square foot area into a round circle and a square, obviously they were highly skilled people.
right.
And the mention of artificial insemination, I tell you, it gave me goosebumps. You know, and, uh, never heard of these things. And all this knowledge is hidden from us
Mm,
deliberately. When you ban Sanskrit as a language in the
mm,
country, how much damage you can do? We are denied that kind of knowledge. And now that our children here in this country, eh, or grandchildren or next generations, do not understand Hindi, then they
mm,
lose everything. This is translations of translations. In the translation, Sanskrit classics, they say that Parvati was tribal. And then they have given the Hindi word Dalit. We pray to Parvati, and you're telling me that she was Dalit, broken,
mm,
yeah, oppressed. So, I feel, uh, in fact, I have this regret that as a teacher, I could not do more to prepare the next generation of scholars, or at least encourage them to go into deeper studies.
mm.
So, all of you who are going to be having children or grandchildren someday, wherever stage, whichever stage you are, please make sure that your native language is taught. Speak your language in home because English they will learn outside. So learn Hindi, and then it is the same script as Sanskrit. You will be able to. They will be able to read Sanskrit.
Okay.
So
I should practice more. But you,
yeah,
you still have a lot of years to work on that goal. That you said you felt like you fell short of. Yes. Thank you.
A little louder, please.
Yes. What's that?
A little louder.
Oh yeah, no. You said you felt bad because
Yeah, I
you
do
didn't
feel
think,
that.
but I'm saying I think you have a long life ahead of you to still work on it. So but I'll also work on my Hindi in the meantime and Punjabi.
Yeah, I'm trying to update now. But then, at my age, everything is iffy. So if out of the congregations, some people emerge who will pick up the task and continue it, but make sure that your native language is known to your children. So when I came here, I was speaking Hindi with my children, and I said, if you don't understand, tough luck. I will speak Hindi, and they understand. They may give me answer in English, but I encourage them to speak Hindi, especially when somebody else is there, and I don't want them to that conversation to be.
Yeah.
There are advantages.
So,
Shobana
Auntie,
ji,
uh, so may I make a comment and a question, Auntie?
हाँ जी बोलिए.
So, first of all, I agree with you the importance of speaking native language. I have 3 kids here raised in US, and we even moved to India to make sure they get, the local customs language living continuously for some time. And what really helped was watching Hindi TV shows with captions turned on TV in English, so they could connect their words and sounds, and I think they can converse very well. And I'm sure Bollywood movies also played some part, but really that Hindi English connection helped with captions. And my request to you is, you talked about people who are interested to pick up some tasks. Could you build like a roadmap of what tasks need to be done in next couple of years in your view? So
What
people
should
here
I
can
do?
sign up. Hanji?
Say it again, Naresh.
Auntie, you were saying you are looking for people who can pick up
Yes.
some tasks.
Probably
So if you can
you
build
are
a
on the top of my list.
Thank you, but can you build a roadmap or a list of tasks
The more
like
people
this?
can join, more
Yeah,
the merrier. But create a think tank where your
yeah,
objective is purely to bring the facts. You see? And the second purpose is to continue the tradition. Do not let it die. 20 million Americans are Hindus. Americans. And
Oh, I did not
we,
know that.
2
Wow.
million,
Yeah,
always are on the defensive. What a shame. 20 million Americans are Hindus. If you go to
yeah.
Vedic city, University of Mahesh Yogi, everybody is Hindu. That is largest concentration of Hindus. So
Wow.
we can do it. The point is will and hard work. You see,
Yeah.
trying to understand this book in 4 days, I literally had a panic attack. That it is so difficult, dense, and yet I got something out of it at my level.
Thank you.
So I mean, it can start with 10, it can start with 15, but it is an ongoing task. And I think this is the sacred duty of every parent and grandparent to pass it on. Whether they continue it or not,
It's
I'm
up to
not
them.
here
Yeah,
to see that.
yeah,
But at least I want that we kind of make sure that we create some kind of a think tank, determination, time. I work up to 12 o'clock at night.
yeah. I think this bi-weekly meetings is a part of that think tank. This group are members of think tank. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how I look at it.
up
Yeah,
to 12 o'clock, I'm doing this, and that kind of dedication is possible.
yeah,
But then, you are all working people, you have 9 to 6 other duties and responsibilities. Make sure that you take 1 hour every week.
Indeed.
You see?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
1
Thank you.
hour is doable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Chit chat 1 hour a week, just purely on make a long-term plan, make
Yeah.
a short-term plan to fit into that, and make a next day's plan, next week's plan. And this is how I do, strategize and compartmentalize
Thank you.
my job.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. And anybody else who wants a question? Yes.
Yeah. Ekor. Ekor. Sloth. One more question. Are there like sacred sites like Mount Kalesh and like in throughout the earth? Why are some regions in India very special geographically?
Mount Kailash is part of Indian Sabbath.
Yeah.
It
So
was in India. The
uh-huh.
British gave it to us. It was Nehru who lost it to China. Up
Why
until 1964, it was still part of India. In 1946 or 47, there was a picture, I have forgotten the name, and there was a song by Mukesh, and it was Moti Chugne Gai Rehansi Man Sarovar Tir. So, I mean, Mansarovar is there. It's an Indian name, Tapovan, Mount Kailash. So, all of these, a lot of foolishness has happened that it's mind-boggling.
But why is it important? Like, why is that specific region
It's very
important?
important
Like,
because
why
they
would
are destroying that. Why are they in recent years there are so many earthquakes? Because they are doing atomic testing there.
Hmm.
You see, glaciers are why the glaciers are melting because of the heat.
Hmm.
Don't blame it everything on pollution
Yeah.
by cars. There are natural factors, solar flares and all of that. But then there is man-made pollution. So that is, we should retrieve it. Why shouldn't we? These are Indian names, they are historic names.
Hmm.
Ravan did go to Mount Kailash.
Hmm.
And in my living memory, Mansarovar was with us. It is part of India. Tapovan, you see. So, anyway. So, if I am useful in some way in guiding, that's good. But you really have to take it seriously and continue the task. So, having said that, Rajiv ji, since there are no more questions, we fold.
Yeah, I think we can end today.
All right. Then. Okay. Namaste. See you next time with the similar kind of facts about Mahabharata.